Is your coach really a coach? Today on the Landlord Coach Dailyish show.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Landlord Coach Dailyish show. My name is Mark Dolfini, your host and landlord coach. It's really good to see you today. It is a freaking gorgeous day outside here in central Indiana, Midwest. It's like warm, there's no wind, there's no locusts, no fire coming from the sky. I don't even know what to think. So hopefully we're sending that weather to you, people of the east and anybody south. It's time for a little bit of warm up. I think we just need some good news, some good weather, good vibes. Anyway, before we get too far on, we're going to be talking about, is your coach really a coach? And we're going to talk about that here in just a second. But before we get to that, for those of you who might be interested in a free copy of the Time Wealthy Investor 2.0, head over to landlordcoach.com/videos. And there's a link in there. You can get it. It tells you about how to get a free copy of that. And I can send it out to you. I can sign it. So then you can't even give it away. Pretty much it's worthless at that point, right? You can maybe use it to hold up the short leg of a table or something. But anyway, head over to landlordcoach.com/videos. So is your coach really a coach? And this topic came across. I was talking to some marketing folks today who are really, really sharp. I'm going to talk more about them down the road. Really looking forward to doing some other additional stuff with Landlord Coach, but and the inner circle coaching that I do. But the really cool thing was we were talking about different things about how I really truly believe I'm a coach, and I'm also a teacher. Because there's just a couple different things that I just know flat that I'm good at. So I've had plenty of coaches in my day. I've also had plenty of teachers in my day. And I think that there's a fundamental difference between teachers and coaches. And I kind of want to maybe dispel some myths out there. Especially, I know there's a lot of people who are in the real estate space that watch this show, and there's lots of coaches out there now. I mean, coaches right now are breeding like Catholic rabbits. And every time you turn around, someone else is either a business coach or a life coach or some sort of fitness coach or something along those lines. In the real estate space, that's really, really true as well. And there's a lot of people who are doing coaching, but I really don't think that they're coaches. Again, I'm just going to tell you my truth, not necessarily the truth, but I really think that there's a fundamental difference between a teacher and a coach. And I think that's what I think it's important that we kind of flesh that out. So first and foremost, let's talk about what I see out there. There are a lot of people in the real estate space right now that are teachers, and they have a very specific thing that they're good at. It might be wholesaling. It might be fix and flips. It might be note buying and selling, whatever it is, whatever the thing is, right? Whatever, they might be even into buy and hold stuff, right? Which is primarily what I'm in. And they're really good and specific in that niche and in that niche only. And they know a very specific set of things that makes them really effective and really impactful in that niche. And I think that's great. It's kind of like, think about, a math teacher that's great at math, right? They're great at teaching math. And because they're great teachers, right? Now, this is where we're starting to make the distinction between teachers and coaches. Because they're a great teacher, they learn a lot about educating. They learn a lot about teaching. They learn a lot about bringing a person along based on how that other individual learns. Meaning, not everybody learns the same way. There's different people who learn differently. Think about visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. If you know anything about VAK, some people are going to learn more visually. So it's important that you show things to them visually. That might be through video. That might be through an online platform like this. That might be, so visual is really something they dial into. They're more than likely to watch videos and read books and see something being presented to them, right? That's a really important thing. So online webinars are going to be really important to them, right? So there's other people, however, that are more audio focused. So listening to books on Audible, that's going to be a big thing. For me, I'm not a real big audio book listener. I do listen to some books on audio, but it's pretty rare. Most of my learning is more visual or kinesthetic, which is kinesthetic is the last one, and that's based on feeling, right? Sometimes it's physical touch, but other times it's just how are you feeling about something? Like, are you more a subjective type decision maker, or are you more objective, or are you more intuitive, right? These are distinct differences in people's learning styles. And with a kinesthetic learner, generally they're going to have to do it in order to learn. So I could show someone all day long. I could get on and just show PowerPoints and do all this stuff, but for a kinesthetic learner, they actually need to do it. They can be shown it, but they're not going to learn it until not be able to internalize it until they actually do the thing. So for a good teacher to be an effective teacher, they really need to understand visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. They really need to understand those 3 different learning styles. And that's only 3 of the 5 senses, right? So these are really, really important that people understand that. That's why there are some good teachers and bad teachers, because they don't necessarily understand the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic side of teaching. And I remember a perfect example when I was in school, when I was in college. I had a statistics teacher that was fantastic he was really, really smart dude. I could not learn from him. He just, for whatever reason, there was some block. I could not learn from this guy. I ended up bombing the class, ended up taking it again with a different instructor, and he was phenomenal. And I really learned a lot from him just because of his teaching style was different. Don't know what it was at the time, whatever it was, but it was something that was just different from the previous teacher. And it's just the way it is sometimes, right? So in order to be even a good teacher, I really feel that you have to have the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic sides of that equation built into it, right? So that's teaching. Coaching, on the other hand, is different. Now, I do believe that to be an effective coach, you can be a good teacher. And I really feel like the differences between a good coach and a good teacher are, while they're subtle, they are incredibly important and incredibly different between an effective teacher and an effective coach. Now, I do believe that an effective coach can be a good teacher, but they don't necessarily need to be. I think the difference between those two, however, is pretty much one word, and that's accountability. If you've ever attended college, you'd understand what I'm talking about. The university professors could not care less if you show up or don't show up. They're not going to take it personally if you blow off class. Whereas in high school, for example, they do care. Like they need to hold you accountable to having your butt in the seat. So if you're looking at it from that perspective, it's a little bit different where there's an accountability perspective built in. That's where I feel that a good coach and a good teacher are this is where they start to come apart. Because a good coach is going to hold you accountable, but they're also going to understand what motivates you. Teaching is really truly about education. Coaching is about accountability and motivation. So sometimes a good coach is going to learn how to motivate you. They're going to understand if they're going to motivate you by fear of pain, right? Or by trying to promote pleasure. They're going to understand what you're motivated by. I think Tony Robbins addressed this as, are you motivated by moving away, or are you motivated by moving towards? And that's an important distinction for a good coach to be able to pick that out. A lot of teachers won't be able to understand that. A lot of teachers won't be able to know if you are, what's motivating you. Are you motivating by again, moving away from pain or moving towards pleasure? Everybody's a little bit different. So, and keeping those people motivated and also keeping them accountable for whatever it is that they're supposed to be doing. And it's a delicate balance because sometimes you need to show up as like the hard, gruff football coach and kind of, not taking any excuses. And other times you need to show up like a big brother, and throw an arm around them and say, hey man, I know you're a little discouraged right now, but you can do this, right? And there's different things that you need to show up, as a coach. So these are the important things that I think are really, really important. The important distinctions between a coach and a teacher. And, it was interesting because not that long ago, I got on a great phone call, or it was actually a Zoom call with a new friend of mine. who is also getting into the teaching space. I don't know that I would call him a coach, no disrespect to him. Not that I would necessarily call him a coach, but he is a teacher because he's in a narrow, he's really good in the space that he is. I feel he's got a really good heart for it. I think he probably would make a good coach down the road, but he's not quite there yet. But it was really great because we got talking about just the different people that are out there that are teaching that really they just don't seem to have the heart for anything other than just forcing the information down someone's throat. They either get it or they don't get it, and then moving on to the next, sell of the course or whatever it is, another person that they can sell a course to. And there's a lot of people in that space. There's a lot of people in the space for, in real estate, which is my area of expertise. So I see it there an awful lot, but I see an awful lot of people in other industries that are selling marketing services, that are selling other things, and they don't really give a crap whether that individual either picks up the information or doesn't. They're like, look, I put the information out there. It's up to them to pick it up and do something with it or not. And unfortunately, that's where I think a lot of people who are doing the teaching, you know what? If you're doing the teaching and that's your niche and you have no interest in actually coaching somebody, then I would invite you not to call it coaching. There's not a coaching component if you're really just truly going out there and giving them education and giving them stuff, but there's really no actual coaching related to that. So if you're not holding them accountable, if you're not going to show up for them the way that you need to show up, if you're not going to modify yourself, and teaching them or bringing them along in terms of where they need to dial into visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, if you're not going to do those things, I don't know. In my opinion, you're not a coach. You're a teacher. And I would also say that if you're not dialing into VAK, you're not a very good teacher either. So that is my truth. That is all I have for today. I am so ready to get this weekend started because it's been a long week. It's been a long couple weeks. I'm gonna hang out with our sons. I'm gonna hang out with my bride, and looking for some cool stuff to do. So I'm gonna extend the invitation if you're here on Facebook, and if you're on Facebook, I know I post this to different sites, also to YouTube. But if you are on Facebook and you'd like to join the Landlord VIP Lounge, we're going to be doing some cool stuff in there here in a few weeks. But you can check that out. And also just invite you really quick back. If you are looking for a copy of the Time Wealthy Investor 2.0, you can head out to landlordcoach.com/videos and get your free copy. All I ask you to do is cover shipping, and I can get that out to you right away. And that is all I have for today, guys. So please be sure to place a value on your free time, because if you don't, someone else will. But most important, there is no amount of money that will make time irrelevant. Have an awesome day. Have an awesome weekend. And I'll see you guys next time.